Welcome everybody to this video of mine, Signs of Christ's Coming. You know, Jesus says, but of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. So we don't know when Christ is coming back, but we do have signs. And, you know, for example, the Four Horsemen in the book of the Apocalypse, they talk about, things. Each one is sort of representative of signs. The white horse, the red, the black, and most people have studied them, and the pale horse. That they are signs that Jesus mentions in Matthew 24. But here's an interesting thing. Jesus says, "Take heed and watch and pray, for you do not know when the time is." And I just want to underline this, is you do not know when the time is. And in fact, it is like a man going to a far country who left his house and gave authority to his servants and each his work and commanded the doorkeeper to watch. Watch therefore, and here it is again, for you do not know when the master of the house is coming. He could be coming in the evening. And these are 4 watches. He could be coming at 9 in the evening. He could be coming at midnight. He could be coming at 3. And he could be coming at 6 in the morning. And so these are 4 watches in the night. And so the thing is we're not necessarily to find out when, if he's coming in the pre-trib rapture or mid-trib or we're not, that's not our job. It's to be watching so that because we don't know, and it's to be on the alert to pointing these things out, the signs. And it's more than just that, it's to be spiritually awake. You're watching things on TV, and if you're a Christian, and all of a sudden you see there's an eclipse. Well, okay, I know Jesus says there'll be, the sun will be turned to darkness. We know things from the Bible. We're alert to those things, and that's what I think. And be praying and taking heed to ourselves as we're connected to Christ. Then we're ready if He comes in the evening or at midnight. But there's signs. One of the first signs is possible signs. Jesus gives signs. He says, learn a parable of the fig tree. And when its branches are in a bud and its leaves begin to sprout. We all know that Israel has these 4 or 5 red heifers they got from Texas, and they're preparing to do the red heifer sacrifice sometime when they're 3 years old, and if they have no spot. And Jesus says, watch the fig tree. That's Israel. Hal Lindsey was the first guy to really start in his book, The Late Great Planet Earth, on the fig tree. Israel's back in the land. And he was showing us, we need to watch these things, and how, most of us read that book. And so it was pretty exciting because we could see, that the Lord is coming back. But anyway, he says, learn a parable of the fig tree. And when its leaves begin to sprout, and I want to underline that, the red heifer is the first sacrifice before all the others, because only it can be used, the ashes, to cleanse the priests who do the sacrifices. So it's the high priest who's supposed to do this red heifer, and that's the beginning of all the sacrifices. And I think that's also the beginning of the week, the final week, and when we know sacrifices are going to be going on. Here's another thing that's been happening. David Jeremiah pointed out 5 signs of Christ coming, and one of them is this eclipse, April the 8th. And I think this is, because Jesus himself says, the sun will be turned to darkness. And but Joel says it too. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and coming awesome day of the Lord. So this could be, this could be, well, I think it is a sign. And it could also be a sign that we are, the night is coming, you see. It's, when the sun is darkened, it's the night, 9 o'clock, the first beginning of the evening. There's another sign, earthquakes. There's an earthquake in Taiwan, 7.2, 5 days before this eclipse. And no small one. And there was one in January the 1st, 2024 in Japan, 7.4. And Jesus says, one of the things, there'll be earthquakes in various places, Taiwan, Japan. And so there's a sign. Another interesting thing happened in London. They had these 4 horses, these 4 riders were bucked off. The horses spooked, and they bucked off their riders. And then they started running with other horses down the streets of London, and one of them got all bloodied in front, this white horse. And so we see this white horse, and the press said it's like the apocalyptic sign, and even the press said that. And right at the same time, the Tower of London stopped at 9 o'clock. And it didn't, until well past 10 o'clock before it started up again. And something, caused that. But this is interesting because, the first watch of the night is 9 o'clock, and then 12, and then 3, and then 6. And is this the start? Is a warning that we're getting close to the first watch? And here's another thing too, right? If you look at these horses here, here's this caution sign, It's funny because this horse is running right through the caution sign, and the yellow light means warning, caution, because something is coming. What? The red light, and it's pretty interesting, but people it got people's attention. Here's another sign: fires. We have in Fort Nelson and also Fort McMurray again, and I think all up in the northern Canada, and they're evacuating Fort Nelson. So fires and smoke. This is the same area. Columns of smoke, and people might not think that this is a sign, but look at Joel. Joel says, "I will show wonders in the heavens." Well, we've seen an eclipse, and on the earth. And then he says, blood, fire, and billows of smoke, or columns of smoke. Well, we see blood. Blood on that horse, a white horse, which is the first horse of the apocalypse. Fire, we're seeing it. You say, well, we don't have any fires where we're at. Well, where are you living? Well, I live in Vancouver. Yeah, because, it's a city. There's no trees. Maybe London, London, you're not going to get the fires, but you get the blood. And columns of smoke. You say, well, we don't have any smoke here. How about last year in New York, where they couldn't see anything? The sun was darkened because of the smoke from northern Canada. So these are signs, and they're happening right now. Another big sign is threat of nuclear war. We had, I think, a threat. We haven't really had any since 1961 or 2. So most of people right now, the younger generation, haven't had any nuclear threat. And it was just, between Russia and the US for a short time. But since then, there's nothing. But now, since the Ukraine war, there's been lots of threatening. Even Iran's threatening Israel with total elimination. And who knows whether Iran has a nuclear weapon. North Korea threatening the U.S. And Hamas threatening, to eliminate Israel. And that's their goal. And Israel saying, well, we're going to wipe out Hamas. So Jesus says, and you will be hearing of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled. We're not to be. This isn't some cataclysm that we have to worry about, because Christ, when he comes back, he's going to take us out of that. So, but he says the end is not yet. Don't be troubled. These things must first come to pass, but the end is not yet. So this is a sign. And I don't think we're even in this final week yet. And here he says, we encourage one another to be vigilant. Watch you therefore, for you do not know when the master is coming, at evening, midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest suddenly he comes and finds you sleeping. And I say unto you, I say to all, watch. What's interesting, it got me thinking of the Exodus. And before the final plague came, which was the death of the firstborn, that God told Moses to tell the people to go, and every house that has any firstborn, they're to put blood on the doorpost, and so when the angel of death comes and sees that, then they won't strike them. But and this is a call for us to be alert enough, to trust Christ as our Savior. And you say, well, what's the firstborn? Well, everybody who is born of the flesh is firstborn. That's our, what is born of the flesh is flesh. What's born of the spirit is spirit. So we're all, if we're not Christians, then we're all firstborn. And therefore, that's what could happen if he comes and finds you in a state of sleeping, dead in our sins and transgressions. Well, we'll be victims, not saved. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I think we're looking at here these watches and in the night, but I don't think we've started that tribulation, but I think God's saying it's close. And so all these things that are happening are pre this 70th week, this final 7 years, and but all of a sudden it's going to start. And when, we're not quite sure yet, but that's the first watch. And so guys like David Jeremiah are calling some of these signs out. And that's good. So God bless and keep on the alert.